J-Dog. It's lace out. Round 4. What a cracking round of football it was. So much to talk about, so much to get excited about, and so much to deliberate in the time we have together tonight. Whether you're live with us on Facebook, whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it, it's all about you and it's all about the footy. Once again, for the people who don't know me, Christopher Pepper, host of the Lace Out podcast, 377 game superstar of the East Keilor Football Club. And once again, without my co-host with the most, the Grand Poobah, the J-Dog, Jamie Wallis, we wouldn't have a show. So good evening to you, sir, and good evening to everybody out there.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, because we are probably Australia's widest reaching podcast in the world.
Do you know what, Jamie? I was looking up at our statistics, and first and foremost, to everybody who listens to us on a regular basis, every single week, twice a week, that's how you want your footy, lace out, and we're giving it to you. We are worldwide. We are, I would have to say, if you look at a non-club specific podcast, we are ranking in the top 3. I think we are, I would actually say we're the non-club specific podcast that everybody listens to. Besides all, Swanee and Friends and Xavier Alice and all those fluffy ones, when it just talks footy, we're it. I would honestly say we are the number 1 non-club specific AFL podcast in the country, at least this side of the Westgate Bridge here in Melbourne.
Yeah, exactly right, Peps. And that just got...
It's because we're real. It's because we're real. We're real.
Our listeners saw last week how real we were when you got very angry and you yelled at me for North Melbourne.
Yep.
Can't talk about North Melbourne around you anymore. Obviously, North Melbourne's a touchy subject.
It is a very touchy subject. Yes, it is.
And, you're a man who is passionate about North Melbourne, but you're a man who's also passionate about one of the greatest starts that your club has ever seen since 1994, which we will get into later on with one of our segments, Pep. So I don't want to jump the gun too early, but Peps, can you just give our listeners what is on for today's show? How do we break this show down usually?
Mate, we break this show down quite simply. We just talk about the great game of football. We break it down by the news of the week. We love to spin the magnets. We've got the listener question. We have, goodness gracious, what out there? We've got the chat. People get on the chat and ask us the questions. We shoot right back at it. We just like to freeball it. We just like to talk about the great game, and we love to talk with our great community of lace-outers out there.
Correct. And we are two very...
It's
very good. And we are 2 very, very happy podcasters this weekend. We are very happy.
Oh, who do you want to start?
You've had a win.
Oh,
I've had a win.
Everybody had a win except Essendon, but I'll get onto them soon.
All right. So, Peps, where do you want to go for tonight? Do you want to go around the grounds first and give a news recap, or do you want to go straight into spin the magnets? Please don't go spin the magnets.
Let's go and do a bit of a recap about everything coming to football right now. So that means simply we are going around the grounds with the news of the week. Head us off, J-Dog.
Sure. Look, this is just one, a bit of a flyby. I don't know how much there's news stories on it or articles are written about it, but it's one that Gary Lyon sort of picked up on Friday night talking about the AFL trends and what's sort of happening from the first 4 weeks where we were and now where we are. The brilliant thing I think about this was when we first saw 2021 AFL football, we were excited. We were pumped. That football was pinging around from back 50 to forward 50, hitting up lead-up targets. That ball was moving so fast, and we were seeing scores. We were seeing that football really freed up. We weren't seeing the rolling scrums. We weren't seeing all those types of congestion that we talked about when, the 2021 game just seemed to be, averaging scores around the 60 mark. Lots and lots of, what are they called? Stoppages, all those sorts of things that we were saying. It's ugly. Our game is ugly because of it. So when 2021 started, we saw this ball just zinging from back to front, and we were loving it. What's interesting, though, and we spoke about it at the time, is the coaches have now got a correction. They've put a correction into it, and we're now starting to see some of those key stats that we loved at the start from back 50 to forward inside 50 that started to slow down. So it was a 27 point something % around that mark, around round one. We're now seeing a 10% decrease in scoring from your back half. Okay. So the football is slowing down. One of the things that Gary Lyon spoke about was really interesting was he says coaches were seeing the hit up kick in the center. So they were seeing that 45 kick in the center, taking that option on and just going and just playing. What coaches are now giving feedback and what Gary Lyon was talking about is the fact that now if you hit that kick and you miss that kick, you get scored so fast back the other way. So
it's out of control, J-Dog. How good is football at the moment?
How
good is it? The D's are flying. Look at the Trops. Trops another. He loves the D's. He loves the D's. The D's are flying. And you know what? The D's are flying because simply their forward 50 pressure has been outstanding. But correct. I also believe, this is the way also I think about it. Because the ball is a lot quicker, I think it's moving faster. It's not giving the opportunity for back 50s to set up as well behind the ball.
Correct.
Thus, they're not having that opportunity to get into position to rebound because teams are actually controlling the ball more.
Correct. And Peps, it's interesting you mentioned that as well about forward 50s because Port Adelaide play a forward press game style. And
yes, they do.
And they're prepared to cop goals going back the other way when the ball gets outside of that press, and they're gonna get opened up pretty quick. And we saw that a couple of times. Melbourne are doing something very similar. They get the ball in the 50, they try and lock it in, and they've now got the talent around the ball to lock that forward entry in.
They have got the D's have got. This is not going to be a Melbourne show because there are other teams. There could be, but it won't be. Okay, so for all of you out there hoping this was going to be the Melbourne podcast, it's not. But Melbourne have 6 out of the top, I think it is 21 pressure forwards in the league as we speak.
Yeah.
Their pressure in that forward 50 is berserk. This is something Melbourne aren't known for. Pressure. No. The only pressure that we normally get is going into a game favourites against North Melbourne and falling on our faces. That is what we're known for.
So Peps,
nothing else.
There's one thing that's interesting is the slowing down from scores from the back half into your forward 50. The other thing, Peps, which is super interesting, and I know you love this.
I love this.
Is we saw stoppages were at an all-time low round one. We're starting to see the averages go from around 40 up to about 55, 60 again. So we're starting to see a bit more of that slow ball come back through.
Filippo's joined the chat. Big Phil.
Filippo.
Oh, he's a superstar, Big Phil. He makes the best mystery Palmer at the East Keeler Football Club. If you know what you're getting underneath the breadcrumbs, get down there on a Thursday night at the Cougar Cafe. Fabulous Phil and his mystery Palmers. If you can guess what the meat is, you can go home lucky.
How do you feel about stoppages starting to come back into the game? How do you feel about coaches now starting to adjust to these new rules?
Good luck. Good luck.
Do you think we're on track to see 2020 and 2019 levels of slow balls?
No way. Fast football wins games. It's as simple as that. Fast football will win and fast football will reign. And any club that thinks that slow football movement is going to win games, obviously you haven't watched Richmond over the last 4 years. You haven't watched the Doggies or Port so far this year. The D's are doing it. Even Sydney, who was known for putting teams to sleep, literally like handing out snuggies because of the way they move the ball. So they're moving it faster. So is it quite a coincidence that the teams who are moving faster are winning and the teams that like to slow it down, otherwise known as snooze long, are losing games?
Yeah.
Because the game is not played that way at the moment. Their players are being freed up. They're breaking the shackles. It is so good to see.
This is where I'm concerned though, Peps.
Don't be concerned, Jamie.
Is what we're going to do is the coaches are going to slow this game down because they don't like to get scored back the other way because it's easy.
Here's an idea. Score more than the opposition. If they score 150 points against you, you kick 160.
It's like
that's the Malcolm Blight. That's the Malcolm Blight rule.
I know.
As long as you kick a high,
We don't
Of
want
course you
football like
do.
that, though. No,
Are
we
you
don't.
seriously? What, you don't want to see 130 versus 140?
No, not every week.
Oh, you're
No way.
No, I'm sorry. What, you'd rather have snooze fests?
I'd rather have games that are tough. I'd rather not watch an NBA All-Star game every week.
No way. Nah, give me goal kickers. I want bags, mate. You tell me you didn't get excited when Brucey kicked 10 last week. You tell me you weren't when Harry Mackay kicked his 7. When text came out and saying, bag, 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 bag every week.
No.
Jamie, mate, I don't want to see this precious, snoozy football all the time. I want to see pressure football, but I want to see scores. People, you cheer when your team kicks a goal.
But 130 and 120, why can't I have a really good game at some team kicking 100 and some team kicking 70? That's a good game of football.
What?
Why do I want to see? No, I don't want to see two teams kicking 20 goals.
I do. Hey, listeners, tell me, the people listening to this right now, get onto our Facebook page and tell us, would you rather see shootouts or a game around the 70-point mark, which is just a pressure fest? Or would you love a massive shootout? A 10-point, 120, 110, or a 70-60 game? You tell me what you'd like.
Peps, if you had to
everybody will want the first one.
If you had to pick, there we go. Good. Thank you, Craig. A couple of Port boys coming in. Thank you, Nick, as well.
Bags are boring when kicked on. Thank you very much, Felipe. I'm having a mystery Palmer next week. Bags are boring when kicked against shit sides. Yeah, that's true, but not if it's your team. And it's all about kicking goals, mate. Goals win games.
Yep, you can't have chocolate pudding every night for dessert. You just get sick of it at the end of the day.
Oh, not when Narelle's making the pudding. Love my pudding.
We'll leave that one there. Okay, so that's the first thing, Peps, that we want to talk about.
All right, what's the next one?
I don't want to derail like the North Melbourne chat last week because you got very upset. I saw the neck vein start to come through. You got
I'm very passionate about that, mate.
And there's a lot of squiggle vein like I've got, and you got that pumping.
Listen, I'm very passionate about that. And if you want to go me again this week, mate, and you can go, I'll go 30 love on you this week, mate. Because there's a lot of people who are in my.
I'll go every time. I can't. It's like a red rag to a bull with you.
I know. How good is this? A Port Adelaide supporter saying the best game of the weekend was Richmond versus Port easily. Well, yeah, because it was a good game. Well, I actually reckon the one on the Thursday night was a cracker as well. That Sydney versus Essendon game. My goodness. Bloody fantastic. Bloody fantastic.
All right,
we're going to get to that. Go for
it. Next story. Let's do a quick. Do you have the ladder there, Peps?
Do I have the ladder? I have the ladder. Let's do a quick whip around of the AFL ladder. Let's put it up on the screen here. Let's have a bit of a look over it. Okay, so let me go through this. So when we have a look at the ladder, we've got 3 teams undefeated at the moment. The Western Bulldogs sitting on top with a percentage of 171 after 4 rounds is extraordinary. You've got Melbourne sitting second. Geez, the air's thin up that top of the ladder. It's quite, I'm not used to it down the bottom. And you got Sydney all on 16 points as well too. You've then got Port Adelaide, the Crows, which, my goodness, if that's not shocking anyone at the moment. We've also got the West Coast Eagles, Carlton, and Richmond making up the 8. Fremantle just sitting under them on 8 points. Geelong percentage as well as St Kilda, and we'll get on them shortly. Essendon and Gold Coast are in a really interesting spot that their percentage is actually 104.7 and 104.5 respectively. Now, that is 12th and 13th on the ladder. Their percentage is better than the team sitting 7th and 8th. So if they could actually have got wins on the weekend, they would actually be sitting in the 8. So that just shows how close it is. So you have to be on. Collingwood, we'll get onto them. They were atrocious on the weekend. GWS, Toby Green, I would turn for him. He is an absolute gun. The Brisbane Lions, they're like Simba, mate. They are Simba. They're kittens. They're not lions at the moment. Hawthorn and North Melbourne with a percentage of 43 sitting on 0. And yeah, it's tough for the boys in the blue and white stripes at the moment. So there is your ladder. What surprises you at the moment with that ladder?
Well, I suppose let's play it. Let's play a game of the real deals.
Okay.
Western Bulldogs, real deal or no real deal?
Real.
Same. Real deal for me as well. Melbourne, real deal?
Real.
Or not?
Real.
Real? Finals?
Real.
If Melbourne miss finals from now, will you be upset?
Oh, no, Jamie, I'll be ecstatic because it just continues our... Of course you'd be upset, you dipstick.
But remember how you guys had to beat Collingwood, had to beat the Collingwood like 4th team and you still missed by half a percentage point. Remember that?
But that was to get in. We're in there at the moment.
You are.
So we're
there.
in a good spot.
You won't miss. You won't miss from here, Pete. Like
I'm saying.
Melbourne
I am saying real.
My hand this way.
Real.
Melbourne cannot lose the finals position from here on in.
Pardon? It is
kiss of death.
Kiss
of death.
Real deal.
Okay, good. I reckon Melbourne are the real deal at the moment. I still want to see a proper test against them. Just
how many proper tests do you want?
You've played no one.
We beat Geelong. Okay. We just beat St Kilda, who came down from 35 points down and beat West Coast by 20 on the weekend. We've beaten GWS, who beat Collingwood, who apparently was going to be superstars this year. You can only beat
Peps.
You can only beat who they put out there.
I'm not trying to make it any more.
Can we get on to Sydney? Can we get on to Sydney?
We can. Sydney, real deal or not real deal?
Real at the moment, but ask me halfway through the season when it starts to get a little bit colder, whether their kids are going to have to stand up.
Yeah, Sydney for me are the ones at the moment. The ones where I go young kids really well, but it's a long season this year.
Yep. Port,
real deal.
It's not going to be too real with Butters and Dersma are out for a bit.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, we will talk about that. Adelaide Crows, they're not real to me at the moment. Far from it.
Far from it. Adelaide Crows, very surprised. That's probably my biggest shock this year. But I don't think they're the real deal at the moment.
No, not sustainable.
West Coast, real deal.
Only because they play all their games over in Perth and no one beats that crowd.
Yeah.
Carlton?
Correct. Not real deal.
I can smell a little bit,
but
they haven't beaten much over the last couple of weeks. Richmond?
Yes. Yes is the answer. Real deal.
At the moment, they're not the real deal.
Yeah.
At the moment, I don't think they're the real deal. They're not the team that they were over the last couple of weeks. Okay. Fremantle?
No.
Geelong?
No.
Dad's Army? Not after the weekend. They got destroyed. Goodness gracious. St Kilda? Geez, if they play like they did the last one and a half quarters, my goodness gracious, they could be real.
Yep.
Essendon. I know we've bagged the crap out of this team. Well, I have over the last 4 years. But gee, they were exciting last week. That was an absolute ripper of a game, that Sydney Essendon game.
Well, we were doing our podcast, and we didn't want to give away the score during our podcast, but we were blown away by what was them.
It was quality football, and that was a game where there was scores being kicked, but it was tough. That went right down to the wire. Beautiful game. So well done to Essendon. Gold Coast, they're not the real deal. They just can't get a good injury run. Rowell goes down. Witts goes down. They don't have a ruckman. They lose to Carlton. Stewie Jugis, can you just give me a full contingent of players, just for half a season, just to show what we can really do? Brisbane are not the real deal. I know they've got some things. Nah, they're not. You can't tell me they're the real deal at the moment.
After this week, if they lose this week, I think that's it for them.
Yeah, and don't give me, because they're in Melbourne. Well, the rest of the league had to play in a different state for 10 months last year.
Correct. Look, I think Brisbane are going to struggle to make the 8 this year.
If they lose this week, definitely so.
You've jumped down. Collingwood?
There's a reason I jumped Collingwood. No way they're the real deal. Just get rid of some midfield, some guns in your midfield, and not replace them with anything, and hopefully Mason Cox will save the day.
Up in the forward lines, and now you're talking about making your best backman your best forward.
Oh, they're just stupid, aren't they? Good, yeah. Let's get the guy who's an All-Australian backman and throw him forward, and he'll save the day.
GWS Giants, Peps, you're much kinder to them than I am. I think that they're just a rabble, but you say it's injuries, and I'm prepared to.
Oh, they've got injuries. They've got injuries. Collingwood have got injuries. Collingwood should have won on Saturday night.
Yeah,
and they got beaten by Toby Green, my love child.
The one man show up there now.
Don't care.
Hawthorn, don't care.
Nah, they're nothing. Mind you, they play Melbourne this week and probably beat us.
And North Melbourne, a real deal or no real deal?
Nah, they're no real deal. They're nothing. They're Hawthorn are going to be the new North.
All right, so Peps, I'll ask this question to you.
Yep.
Tops from here out of that top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see anyone from the top 4 falling down? Falling outside of the 8?
No.
No, okay. So
No,
all
I don't
top
see
four
that-
at the moment are going to
No,
stay in there.
all the top four will be in the 8. I'm not going to say they're all going to be top 4. If I have concerns, I have more concerns about Melbourne and Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
I think Melbourne are playing a good brand of footy. Let's not get it wrong. I am a Melbourne supporter, Melbourne member, love them to death, right? They're playing a great brand of football. I just want to see a couple pressure tests. So they're going to be playing Hawthorn this week, and then they play Richmond on Anzac Day Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Not bypassing Hawthorn, but if they happen to get through that one and they're 5-0, that'll be their big test, big stage, everything. So that's what I'd be liking to see a little bit. My dangers in that are Adelaide and Carlton. They're the ones that I can potentially see dropping out. But there is probably 4 teams underneath that could probably make it. Fremantle aren't playing the best footy, but they've got their injury concerns. Dad's Army, they've got a lot out at the moment. They could potentially come back. Once Hawkins stops punching people's eyeballs out like he did on the weekend and he teams up with Cameron, there's something to play there. If St Kilda can get it together, they're definitely a shot. And Essendon, I know they're only on 1 win. It's just a matter of whether their kids are going to be able to sustain. I think they're just a bit, fluffy at the moment. That they perform 1 week like they did last week, but then you have a look what they did the week before. It was not that great. So they're a bit wishy-washy. So I reckon 6 out of the 8 at the top are locked in with Adelaide and Carlton being my ones I'd be concerned about. So get on Sportsbet, gamble responsibly. If you're looking at maybe seeing who's going to drop out or who's going to make it. Because I reckon there's a little bit of value there.
Excellent. All right, Peps.
Yes, sir. What have you got for me, J-Dog?
A nice big discussion piece here, and it's driven from the AFLW, but it's going to absolutely cross into the men's competition.
Yes.
And this is about the contentious, and Peps, we have very strong opinions about this, but this is about the AFL concussion protocol brought in where you have to take that week break if you've been concussed.
Yep.
For the AFLW, that means that Chelsea Randall is going to miss out on playing for the Adelaide Crows in the AFLW Grand Final this week.
Yep.
The piece that is the conversation is around should the week before the final start, that week off that everyone has, be moved to now the AFL Grand Final week to allow players who are concussed because they cannot fight it, they cannot get back into the game because of the concussion protocols, to allow those people who are concussed or whatever to play in the grand final with their team. Because unfortunately, Chelsea Randall is concussed. She has to take a week off. There is no rule around it. The AFL are not, that is not a thing that you can just get a jab for and move on to the next week. You are going to miss a game, and in this case, it's a grand final for her.
Mm-hmm.
Should the AFL take heed of this immediately and move the week off before finals to the week before the grand final to allow both teams to put the best players forward if possible?
Okay. There is exactly what you said. The best players possible. I'll ask you a question. Mm-hmm. If her name was Jane Smith, player number 21 in the Crows team, would we be having this conversation?
I think we would be.
I don't think you would not.
Absolutely.
The only reason why we're having this conversation is because she's the captain of the team. I'm sorry. No.
But she has no control.
Hey, too bad. Who's to say? But hold on. Who's to say in 2 weeks' time she's still going to be viable? We've seen plenty of players get a concussion and never play again.
But at least it's not enforced on her where she has to have the week off.
It's too bad, mate. No, I'm sorry. The finals drag on so much already with this bullshit break between the finals. The teams with momentum lose it. The teams who earn the double chance and win that first week should be the only ones that get a break leading into the prelim finals.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a look at the records, the 2 teams that won in the first week of the finals in the top 4 last year ended up losing the week off. So they play a game, miss a game, play a game, miss a game, lose a game again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Crap. No, it's crap.
I'm saying get rid of.
But just get rid of it altogether. I don't
get rid of the week off before finals and move that one to before the grand final.
Oh, but where does it stop though, Jamie?
But
So if somebody has
Kelsey Randall, who is a dual co-captain premiership. I think she's 2-time All-Australian.
Yep.
She's going to miss a game, even though she could be a writer's range. She could be woken up Sunday and be completely fine. Because the AFL has their protocols, she's going to miss out an opportunity.
But Jamie, what do we do now? If somebody gets knocked out the week before, so let's just say they get knocked out in the qualifying final. Sorry, the first semi.
Mm-hmm.
They get knocked out 1 week later, the prelim. They can't play in that. That could be their last game of the year. We want them in the prelim to get to the grand final. So what? Should we push that back by a week now? So where does it stop? No, but hold on a second.
This is the grand final, not the prelim. This is the grand final.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, mate. No. I'm not arguing for the sake of arguing. I don't think that you should. No, Lee Mack, go away. All right.
But I'm only saying because
I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I'm just a shoulder.
An ankle or a shoulder, Peps.
Yeah.
You have a jab, you play the next game, you take that risk. You take that risk on. Yeah, players have done that forever.
That,
but this is a new rule this year. It's been brought in, and instantly it's affected a gun.
But we're only saying it's because it's the captain. That's the only reason.
But this is where we've seen it happen now. Will it affect the men's competition? Hang on, you're gone. Peps. Your microphone's gone. Your microphone's gone. You've lost your audio, Peps. Where's your audio, Peps? You're copping a roasting in these comments as well. Lee Mack's come out. He's told you with J-Dog. Buzzers come out. Pep, you need a week off due to concussion. Lee Mack's come back again. Stop talking about finals. It's foreign to you. This is great. Where's your audio, Peps? I actually can't hear you. No, I cannot hear a word you're saying. Listeners, can you hear Peps? Let us know. I can't hear him. Let me know if you can hear Peps, everyone.
Let's keep talking.
There we go. Oh,
better?
Yeah, it's better. There we go. No, give it a twist. There we go. I can hear you now. That's better.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. If I have to hear one more person say, no, thank goodness they can't hear me. I've got love out there. All right. So thank you very much, Trops. Lots of love from you. All right. Now,
so Peps, I'm just saying that you know where my position is. So you think that we should what?
We should actually
leave it. Don't touch it. Don't worry about it.
Look, I'm to be honest, I did create a bit of an argument for the sake of an argument because I like it. I can see the merit behind it wholeheartedly. And you know what? If it was me, I'd be pretty pissed if I missed a grand final through to concussion too.
What if Jonesy missed it for Melbourne? Like that'd be devastating.
Oh, you had to go and attach the heartstrings to now, didn't you? Now you put some emotional context to it. Yeah, we should bring in the spare. We should bring in the week. Yep, we should bring in the week. But are we then just building it up over 2 weeks? You lose the momentum move going in.
I don't know.
Look, if you said to me, would I prefer it at the end or at the start? I prefer it at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd agree with you on that one. But yeah, I think I'm more of I'm a traditionalist, but
I know
I'm just an old fogey. Phil said to me, good old Philly Branco Adesanya said on the weekend watching East Keeler tear it up against West Meadows that he'd silence me on Tuesday night, and he did. So good job, Phil.
Hey, Peps, you know what? I know you're a man who loves the combat element of it. You don't like subs. You don't like weeks off. You just want a team. Best team wins, no matter what.
Best team wins, mate. Best team wins.
I know you. All right. Peps, this is one. I don't know if you're much across this or whether you have a strong opinion on this at all, whether our supporters do. I'm going to talk about it because it's something that has pissed me off in the comments all about it this week. And that is around Robbie Gray's deliberate rush behind in the dying minutes of the game against Richmond. People have been saying it was should have been called deliberate. He had no pressure. That cost the Tigers the game, yada, 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 umpire's bias, yada, yada, yada. Where do you feel around the deliberate? So I don't know if you've seen the footage or whatever at all, but Robbie Gray, 2.5 minutes ago, ball ball a couple of metres out from the goal line, 3 Richmond players support around him. He just grabbed the ball inside the square and handballed it through after a Richmond player had just had a fresh area and missed it for the game potentially. Where do you feel about this one here, Peps, with deliberates?
I have no issue with that.
No issue?
No issue with what he did, yeah.
Yeah.
At all. Because if you have a look, and once again, if you have a look at what's happened to what backmen can do now, they're literally stuck. There is virtually nothing that they can do these days. They can't even put an arm around. They can't chop the arms. They can't smack to the back of the head. Yep. They can't even kick. They can't even kick the ball along the boundary line 50 metres and dribble out because that's deliberate. They are so hamstrung. You have to give them an out.
And you said, Peps, before, players or teams now can move the ball so fast, but as a backman, you don't even get a chance to set up.
No. And you know what? He was in his right way to do that. That's within the rules. It's within the goal square. You can do it. Yeah. I have no issue. There were 3 players around him. Good on for him. It was Hawthorn who ruined it back in that 2008 grand final. That it's just ruined the rule for everybody.
Yeah.
But no, I have no issue with it. What he played within the rules. I just think it's too bad, too sad.
Yeah.
There's no issue with it whatsoever. If we're going to whinge about that, there's plenty of other things that deserve a little bit more of a higher caliber whinging than that.
Yeah.
Do you want to go about Tom Hickey's play on? Do you want to talk about the Geelong versus Brisbane? Do we want to talk about those type of? They're the ones that peeved me off more. How they changed the rules so the ruckman can grab the ball out of the ruck. That is just,
yeah. It's interesting because there's some people out there who go, the deliberate. He deliberately handballed it and within the rules, whatever. But as a player, it is on you to keep the ball alive, and he should have found a way to do that, and that goes both ends.
But Buzz has said something in the chat where he said he had a teammate right next to him. He could have handballed. Yeah, he could, but he's allowed to put it through the goals, and he can reset. There's no issue with that. So I have no problem with what he did. Like I said, what was the biggest travesty on the weekend? Would you say that, or would you say what Hickey did? And then the AFL coming out and saying that he didn't have any prior opportunity. He ran a half marathon before he got rid of the ball.
Well, see, Peps, in today's run sheet, I have deliberately not talked about Ben Cunnington, or I have left all of that off our run sheet because I know that you would just flip your shit about that. Or the bumps. I knew you were going to.
Look, the bump. Look, once again, I still think the bumpers. There's a place for footy, but if you make contact to the head, too bad. I think with the Cunnington one, you have a look what he did, and he got a week, and now has been let off.
Yeah,
but you have a look at what Harbrow did, and they reckon that was 2 blokes going at the contest. Don't know what you were looking at there, big fella, but you got that one wrong, Mr. Christian. Harbrow's one was worse. He actually went past the ball.
Yep.
All right. So
what was it? A 50 metre on the day, wasn't it? It was a free kick. I
think it was just either it wasn't a free kick or it was a free kick at the most. So they're the ones that when you go past the ball, it was a little bit like Dangerfield, except Dangerfield's came out with a lot more. But once again, it's the result, not the action. Yep. If they want to stamp it out, they've got to. You bumped. We're giving you a week. You ran past the ball. You took him out. But the AFL won't do that.
All right, Peps.
For whatever reason. Yes,
another story that's come out, and I just thought I'd chuck this in here because it's very interesting, and I found it interesting. One of my mates, Kane Corns, has come out and said Hawthorn are 2 to 3 years away from where North Melbourne are right now with their list. So my thing is, are the Hawks next? Are the Hawks in the next couple of years going to be the new North Melbourne?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one, mate.
That's the list. That's their list. They haven't gone back to the draft for a long, long time.
The last time they really went back to the draft would have been the Buddy era, the Lewis Roughhead.
That was it. That's
2004, I think it was. It's 18 seasons ago, including this one. That's a long time between drinks. To really go back to the draft. And you can see how teams have turned it around quite quickly with the draft. Essendon look like they've got a couple of rippers. Your mob have picked up a couple of rippers.
Yep.
We know Gold Coast keep picking up rippers. Unfortunately, they keep getting injured, which sucks. Sydney have picked a few up through the academy. Geelong, we know their history with the father's sons as well. Carlton, they've had a couple, and you can just see the impact that Walsh is making this year. West Coast haven't had a lot to do with the draft over the last number of years. Fremantle, Chera, Brayshaw are starting to get a bit of that consistency in their game now.
Yeah.
Brisbane, not as much. They've brought in a bit more of the top end talent to support what they did probably a couple of years earlier than that. So I think it's one of those things that, you know, you might be the best farmer, but if you might be the best farmer out there, but if your cattle isn't up to the A grade Wagyu that other teams are, it doesn't matter how good you can, you know, feed them and care for them, you're just not going to get a quality result.
Yep, and this is
I don't think he has the cattle.
And this is a direct quote from Kane Corns. Apart from Chad Wingard and Tom Mitchell, they are A-graders for Hawthorn. The rest are comparable to what North Melbourne have brought in. Hawthorn have made just 2 first-round draft picks since 2016, one being Will Day, who's going to be a gun, and Denver Granger Barris, who we haven't seen just yet, joining the club compared to North Melbourne's 5 that they've recruited as first-round picks since 2016, which includes Jai Simpkin in that 5 as well. So,
and you know, we're getting the messages coming in right now. You know, we've got someone, Zach Robinson off Twitch, is saying that he's feeling pretty bad at the moment for his team. Well, we understand that. You know, you're having a crack. At least you're trying to have a crack. The week before, probably not as much, but on the weekend, you probably saw a little bit to just sort of hang your hat on. You know, Clarko is the best coach in the comp. Hawks will be okay. Okay, we'll see. And you know, our fan favourite Lee Mack coming in and saying they're not a mediocre club. We won't fall to those depths, a premiership in every decade since the 1960s. Okay, so be it. But a lot of things have to go right for Hawthorn to get back up.
Yeah.
You need to have those first-round draft picks. Have they got first-round draft picks to actually do something with? Have they traded them away? I don't know. I'd have to have a bit of a look. I didn't expect this question to come up.
And
is Clarko's message getting stale? That's the other thing that we've got to ask.
For me, Peps, it's the desire. Like when they picked up their mature ages and their guns, there was such a desire to play for Hawthorn because of their success. But if you look at it in the last couple of years, the last time Hawthorn made finals was 2018. Since then, 2019, they finished 9th. 2020, they finished 15th. And at the moment, they're currently tracking at 17th. So is the desire there for these gun players that they would pick up to still go there? Or, and I know Lee Mack has said you're not a mediocre club, but maybe now, if you're thinking I'm 24, 25, why would I go to Hawthorn when I'm probably further away than joining any other club almost?
Yep.
I don't know.
That's true. Are Hawthorn the destination club they were?
All
right, I'll put it this way. If you could go to Hawthorn, who would you go to? If you could go to Hawthorn, Essendon, Carlton, or let's go with those 3. Okay. Who would you go to? Hawthorn, Essendon, or Carlton? If all 3 clubs came to you and said, "We want you," who would you go to?
I would choose Carlton.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
what would your second choice be?
Oh, jeez. I think my second choice would probably still be Hawthorn because of the Clarkson factor. I think he's still an amazing coach. And I think if there's anyone who's going to right their wrongs, it's going to be him.
Obviously, the people in Adelaide didn't get the question what I was asking because they're right in Port. Okay?
Oh, dear. And I think Essendon, I still wouldn't rate. I still want to go to Essendon if I was that age group.
I reckon, look, funny enough, I'd actually probably go the same choice. I'd go Carlton. Probably I don't think I'd go to Essendon. No. I'd go to Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Carlton have got something cooking.
Yep.
It's like the master stock the Asians use when they have their foes. It just goes for 50 years, that master stock recipe.
Because it's an interesting point that we can also sort of side channel this into a Collingwood conversation as well, because Collingwood are in a very similar point.
They're cooked, mate.
Who
would you rather go to, Carlton or Collingwood? Oh, that's
Carlton,
a stupid question.
Carlton for sure there. But the problem I see with they're almost parallel is the fact that these clubs need to bottom out. You need to it sounds bad, but you now almost need to bottom out to be competitive with what's coming through from the Brisbanes, the Port Adelaides, the Carltons, the Saints, Melbourne, the Melbournes. You know, these guys now have got a very good young 18 to 23-year-old list profiles. And Hawthorn don't have it. Collingwood don't have that. They need to somehow get those players in, and maybe bottoming out is the best thing that they can do for themselves.
You know what? Can I just quickly say something?
Sure.
All right. Can I just throw something out? This is just a little message I like to throw out to our listeners out there. Look, I love each and every single one of you tuning in, but if you could just stop sending me your, sporting bet results where you've won a substantial amount of cash, and you're not actually letting me in on or Jamie, who we do this for you. Like, we bring this to you every week. Could you maybe bring us a little bit of love the other way and give us some tips, and not just, hey, look what I won on the weekend by picking the winner of the Masters at $70 and having $25 on it, a certain individual who will remain nameless. All right. So we're giving you the love. Share a bit of love with us as well too, if you could, please. All right. We'd really appreciate that. All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Zucchini. All right. Now, J-Dog, sorry,
yes,
go for it.
No, how do you feel about all that Collingwood and all that sort of stuff? Like,
I think Collingwood have to do what Collingwood have to do. I think they're not in a good spot at the moment. I think they've stuffed it up. Why did they pay Grundy 7 over 7 and get rid of Treloar, one of their better midfielders who they're struggling to have at the moment?
Yeah.
Stevenson already had some off-field issues, but he's going okay at North. And then why the hell would you even get rid of Tom Phillips, who was, other teams are looking at him going, why? He's over at Hawthorn now and smiling, going, how good is this? Playing good football, mate. They got, I can't remember the other guy's name, Joffa's nephew, I think. He went over to North as well too.
Yeah.
They've made a terrible decision. That was list management, regardless of how you say it. It wasn't player attitude. It wasn't that they didn't like him. I don't care what you say. It had to do with list management, and the fact that they couldn't just come out and say, hey, you know what? We got it wrong. We got our list management strategy wrong.
Yeah.
Come out with this, don't con a conman. Football supporters are smart enough out there to realise when you're being blatantly told a lie.
Yeah.
And Collingwood supporters, I'd be pissed at your club right now.
Yeah. All right.
Can we just spin them, mate? Can we spin them?
All right.
Because we haven't spun them yet. It's time to spin the magnets, everybody. Time to see who gets the 3 votes. Who's getting dragged? Let's get this bad boy going. All righty. I think we should start it off with a bit of 3 votes action. What do you reckon, J-Dog?
Sure. You go first, Pep.
I'll go first. So first and foremost,
3 votes.
3 votes. See, Judd. Rightio. First of all, I have to give my 1 vote to Toby Green. Now, I think this is the second week in a row I've given it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He beat, not GWS did, but he beat Collingwood on the weekend. There's one guy up the other end of the ground, Jordan DeGoey, more like Jordan Donuts, or Jordan DeGooey, because he plays one good game every month, and that is it. He's got so much talent around him, so much talent within him. He thinks he's an $850,000. You are not an $850,000 player, DeGoey. There's a guy up the other end who bleeds for the club. I said it last week. I think he is GWS's best ever player to come out of that club. Not your Phil Davises and any one of those lines. The best GWS player ever is Toby Green. 5 goals on the weekend, and he and his team decimated Collingwood in a result that nobody expected whatsoever. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my first one. All right. My second one has to go to Batman, Liam Jones. Like, if anyone actually saw his game on the weekend, his performance down back, interceptions, left, right, and centre. He ends up with 11 marks. He ends up with 21 disposals, 472 metres gained. He was the only reason outside of Curnow why Carlton got over the line on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He was impenetrable. All right. And last but not least, I have to say who gets my
3 votes.
Was the Thursday night and the Friday night football games. I could not split them both. I was just glued to the action. Essendon, my God, what you've done in the last couple of weeks has been nothing short of amazing. I don't know how long you can sustain it for. You're going to be pretty much up and down, I reckon, for this year. Just got too many young kids and unfortunately a few too many injuries. But that was sensational football. The Swans did what the Swans did. They had, obviously, Heaney's gone out with his hand. Rampy's now going to be out for a little bit of time as well. But they just did what they had to do, and they impressed me from the week before when I went and watched them. And then that Friday night Richmond-Port game, it's been mentioned a couple of times in the chat. Jesus Christ. If you want to know what football is, there were goals being kicked. There was pressure all around. When a game gets decided in the last couple of minutes, Robbie Gray, my goodness, if they made a threequel, another sequel to make another sequel to Top Gun, he can play Iceman's long-lost son. He has the same hair as Val Kilmer, and he ices it. He ices games regularly for Port. So Robbie the Iceman Gray and Jared Berry and the other dude he can be the other Maverick who kicked the goal for Brisbane the week before because they're the Iceman. So Thursday and Friday night football, you get my 3 votes. All right, J-Dog, who gets your
3 votes?
3 votes.
All right. My number 1 goes to the Richmond-Port Adelaide game. Same reasons you've said. Pressure, finals like. Port Adelaide in particular, half the players in the field were just limping on one leg and still managed to get the win. So that was bloody amazing. Number 2, Peps.
Yep.
Unzip your pants. You're going to love this one. You're going to blow a fly if you don't. Bailey Fritsch. I mean, you guys gave us Jack Watts. You guys got Bailey Fritsch. I think we know who won that one there.
Jack Watts in Amsterdam right now.
Exactly. So Bailey Fritsch absolutely is a genuine star. All he needed was just some other small forwards around him to help him out, and he's turned himself into an absolute genuine superstar. And one of the kicks that I most put my life on inside sort of that the 50 meters. You wouldn't? Oh, he was kicking.
No. He was dominant. That was his best. That was the best game of his career.
He was kicking everything. Boundaries, everything.
He's put a lot of time into it. And I don't know if anybody heard this, just as a side note, if anybody heard Mark Williams on SEN this morning, Ed Langdon they've just been praising him up, just the amount of importance he's been putting onto kicking into the Ds this year. And it is showing up spades as well too. So I'm wrapped that you brought the kicking side of things up.
Yeah.
Because even we're sitting back going, they're actually hitting targets in 50.
Yes.
Yep.
Number 3, and there's a bloody good one. Nick's put a great one up here on our chat, but I'm not going to say that one. Number 3, and it's going to make our Port boys vomit, but Adelaide AFLW team making another grand final on their way to their 3rd in the AFLW. That is
that
domination.
Their 3rd grand final or 4th third?
Led the way to the 3rd AFL premiership onto the way to their 3rd.
Well, let's have a quick look at that because this is how the finals have gone for the women. Obviously, it started off nice and easily at the start. Two teams that we thought would actually make it at one stage, which was Collingwood North. The D's and Fremantle went over to the week later. We had the prelim finals. Brisbane did the number over Collingwood.
Yep.
Adelaide did a massive number over the D's, and it looks like another massive game between probably the 2 best entities in the league.
Yeah.
Brisbane and the Adelaide Crows. And it's going to be a bumper crowd. I think it's going to be in Adelaide. It's going to have its own time slot. It's going to be massive. They're probably going to get 40 odd, depending if it's a full house, 40, 45,000.
No.
50. It's not. So it's 75%. So they might get 35 grand, but they'll pack it out as much as they possibly can. It's going to be sensational.
And if you're a G Flip fan, get down and go to it, because if you like G Flip, she's the entertainment at this year's AFLW Grand Final. G Flip she's pretty good. She hasn't put a bad song out. So I've heard. The
G Flip.
I think you like her, Peps. So AFL, yeah. So them Adelaide are my 3 votes. AFLW team is my 3 votes this week.
Fantastic. All right. So we know that with every good news story, there's going to be the bad. There's the yin, there's the yang. There's Timberlake and there's Lance Bass. You have to have the opposite. And when you're getting opposite, it means you're getting dragged. So, Barras, what have you got to say, mate?
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weak as piss.
Love it. We are going to be getting a T-shirt. I'm convinced we're going to go get a T-shirt made with him on the balcony at the SCG, on the phone. Fantastic. All right. So here's my. Do you want me to go first? No, you go first this time, and I'll read mine out.
You better go
All
first,
right.
Peps, because I'm just looking at my order.
Rightio. First and foremost, the first one that I'm giving You're Getting Dragged is to West Coast. Now, Buzz has given us what there's no love for the Saints. Yes, it was coming because I can't understand at the 22-minute mark.
On the second.
You're up by 33 points in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And just over probably 35, 40 minutes later, you've lost by 20. Like, Petrocelli was absolutely dominating, coming out with 4. The Saints, what were you doing for the first 2.5 quarters? Drinking your own bathwater or out with Warney? And then you've come out and that's the St Kilda we want to see. That's the St Kilda that's been promised. So for you to come out and do that on the weekend, you are absolutely sensational. And West Coast, that was absolute poo. Rightio. I mentioned Toby Green is getting a vote. Well, this club's getting 2. Collingwood, you are woeful. You lost to how dilapidated was GWS? They had that many players out. It was out of control. Quality not. There was, I think, something like 9 kids for GWS had played less than 10 games. It was a stupid amount. And they've come out and beaten you on your home deck. Look, you need to have a really good hard look at yourself, Collingwood. You made finals this year. You're not going to be making them this year. You've stuffed up by keeping the wrong people. All right? And Captain Man-Bun with your black rim glasses who drives his moped, sitting there with his $7 million over 7 years, you're the main reason for it. You got greedy and you invested in the wrong person. So you reap what you sow. Now, this is going to be a very controversial one, but I gave my 3 votes to Melbourne.
Right. Where
Melbourne are 4-0 for the first time since 1994. What the hell took you so long? Why have you given us all this grief for so many years for you to go out and do what you did? Like, that sucks, man. Does that mean that I'm going to have to wait another, 27 years for it to occur again? Probably. I hope not. That's like, you think I'd be celebrating that? No. It's just frustrating that a team can go ahead and do that, and they haven't for so damn long, and we're celebrating a statistic from back in 1994. That is disgraceful. So, Melbourne, I love you to death, but you're getting dragged because of putting us through hell for so many goddamn years. J-Dog.
all right.
Haley off, Ellingworth on. Bloody weak as piss.
All right. My number 1 for Spin the Magnets is Tom McCartan on Thursday night, sitting in the goal for Sydney Swans, sitting in the goal square. Free kick was obviously being paid. Goal was never going to be anything but he just stood there in the goal square with hands on hips and didn't even bother putting his
thinking.
I mean, we know it's ceremonial. We know it's not going to make a huge difference, but it's still about the body language you're putting out there. Stand there on the line, put your arms up. Don't just stand there with your hands on hips. You get 1. You're a youngster, so you only get a 1. You're not a 2, you're not a 3. But I think that's a piss poor performance because body language is everything on football fields. And if you're doing
he could have freaking jumped and touched that.
Almost. I'm not going to go too harsh on him. So 1. Number 2 for me, Peps, is just the freaking injury, and it's selfish. So injuries to Port Adelaide, far out. Absolutely copped a hammering. I don't know what the next 4 weeks looks like for Port Adelaide. We've got Xavier Dersma, who was having an absolute stellar last quarter, 9 possessions, 5 intercepts, something like that. It just kept going on. Unfortunately, the dying minutes of that game, he He has not ruptured his ACL, but he has done a lateral ligament somewhere. So he's out for a long time. And then we've also got Zach Butters, who's been an absolute revelation in the midfield for us. Adds something a bit sideways, not just the stock standard bulls of our of midfields. Also injured, so that's annoying. And then we had Corkies. We had the works for Friday night. So Port Adelaide injuries, number 2. Number 3, Peps. I'm going with you. I'm not going my same 3 as Melbourne, but my number 3 is Collingwood. Like, what is happening down there? We're hearing people are unhappy about the coaches.
They've got no president.
They've got no president. Well, neither do Melbourne do that at the moment. I think he resigned.
Yes, no, we've got a new president.
Oh, good work, Melbourne.
Yep, doesn't take us long.
No forward line now for 2 years. They can't score. They showed us what they can do against Carlton with beautiful honouring leads and honouring marks and honouring all that. But now they've just gone back to their shitty ways. Their list management is appalling. Brodie Grundy's on another 7 years for $1 million a season. So good luck with that, because he is getting pants by the oldest, the youngest, the smallest, any ruckman, and he's getting done by him at the moment. So good luck with that. They're just a mess. The Collingwood are just a mess, and they are my 3 because that was pretty piss poor, and it's been piss poor this season.
Hey, you know, it's kind of Diamond Joe's going to find it a little bit hard to come back. Lee, he passed away a few years ago, so probably should have researched that question a bit earlier.
I leave him alone.
Did anyone see Did you see the footage before we get to the tail end of this? The footage of Nat Fyfe having shots after the game after he kicked 6 points straight.
I did.
Yep. So I had a bit of a look. I thought, you know what, that's interesting. Kicking 6 points and not kicking a goal. What's the record for the most goals kicked without a point being scored? Can I just give you a bit of? Just goes to show that footballers at the moment have really no idea on how to kick goals. Let's go. Okay. So there was a guy by the name, I don't know if you know this bloke, Tony Lockett. Played for Sydney, played Fitzroy in a game, 16 goals, 0 behinds, 1995. Peter Hudson, Hawthorn versus St Kilda in 1971, 12 goals straight. Stephen Milne, St Kilda versus Brisbane Lions in 2005, 11 goals straight. G. Ablett, Geelong versus Melbourne, 1993, 11 goals straight. And I could keep going down the list. Like these, it's like Tony Lockett kicked 11 goals won 3 times and kicked 12 goals won once. That just blows my mind how good the yesteryear. So don't tell me, the footballers these days, there's so much. Mate, I'm telling you, it's because the balls aren't kicked in.
Yeah, but they're better athletes.
Balls are not kicked in. Oh, don't start that one, mate. Don't start that one.
It's late in the show.
Hey, listen, I've got something for you all too, by the way. Now, listen, if anybody's out there looking for to grabbing themselves a brand new footy, and there's only one type of footy that you need to go and get, and that's the good old TW Sharon. So what we have for you is simply this. If you head over to the Sharon website and put in the code LACEOUT at the checkout, you'll get 30% off your voucher. How good is that?
One word?
30%. One word, lace out, because that's how you want your Sharons.
So,
lace out for 30% off.
Christmases, birthdays, the ball that's scuffed up, you need a new ball, go and get another one. The smell of fresh, like a freshly kicked in Sharon, nothing better.
Want a new Sharon? Use the code LACEOUT for 30% off your purchase. Now, the only ones you can't get are the personalised balls, but outside of that, full range, 30% off. So use that. And if you do end up buying one, take a photo of it and send it through to us so we can actually see, hey, you know what? Lace out, bringing you the football love as well too. So 30% off on that one there. Righty-o.
Peps, we've got a big one to get through.
Yes.
Last one. We've got a big thing to get through because this is we've got listener question, and this week has been absolutely mental. And I know it's a long show, everyone. So
Can you summarise them? Can you summarise them? Just run through. If you can't do the whole list, Jamie, we'll be here till 9 o'clock.
All right, you're ready.
Maths.
You're ready. Lawrence Byrne has put Bombers pies. We've got Daniel Bitter.
Before we go any further, do you want to actually tell them what the question was?
Sure.
For the ones who are listening to this for the first time.
I do. What are the biggest sporting rivalries globally, not just AFL, and can also be person v person? So we had a huge question.
It was massive.
Didn't people deliver this week?
Delivered. Listeners, you could teach Australia Post something. This is how you deliver.
Right. So, as I said, we've got Chris Cochran said Merv Hughes versus every batsman in the world. Completely agree. Daniel Vita, Holt Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
Hogan versus Bundy.
We've got Jim Hutchison, David McLean versus Nicholas. No. Justin Calvert, Cats versus D's. Always a lot riding on it. Well,
yep, 6-pack of Jimmy Cans. I'm waiting for mine.
Gerald Case, Sunderland versus Newcastle. Loving the EPL stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, Kilbourne, Ali versus Fraser. Ian McKenzie, Rangers versus Celtic. That was said a couple of times.
That was a nice one, that one. I liked it.
That was a good one. Peps, I think you might have commented on this one here.
Yep.
Keilor versus Keilor, East Keilor versus Keilor Park.
Yep. That was a massive one.
Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, yes.
Aberdeen,
the Nature Boy versus the Plumber's Son.
Andrew Karacha, Aberdeen versus Dundee United. Thomas Vock, he's had a couple here, actually. So, quickly, he's got New South Wales versus Queensland for the state of origin. We'll just leave it there. Amanda Walters has said Red Sox versus New York Yankees, Fraser versus Ali. Stuart Smith said Fife Thistle versus St. Andrew Colts. Josh Franklin has said Australia versus Australia A in cricket. Jeez, I'll be good at it. Remember the 90s, how good that was?
That was massive. And do you remember when Australia took players from Australia A to play in the Australia team because they knew that they were going to lose?
They were the best games.
They were the best, mate.
We've got Jared Hodgett said Red Sox, Yankees.
Yes,
Giants versus Dodgers is a huge rivalry as well. Ali Fraser, another one. Another one for Celtic Rangers. Another person v person. Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Jeff McNair has said that one there. Huge one. Another Rangers versus Celtic. All Blacks versus any team from Andrew Paisley. Buzz, India versus Pakistan in the cricket. Yes.
Buzz loves it. How did my Tats ticket go this week, Buzz, by the way? We got a result?
Luke Thompson has said Team USSR versus USA in the Olympics back in the Cold War.
Nice. Nice one.
Scotty O'Keefe, Tottenham versus Arsenal. And we'll just jump through those ones there. We've got another Lakers. Ben Harris, Lakers versus Celtics. Heath Buxton, Man United versus Liverpool.
Oh, no net guy.
And Brock Bowley has said, Peps, we've got a bit of love for our sister podcast.
What's that?
One for your sister podcast, Burnout.
Yeah.
F1 drivers, Alan Prost versus Arton Senna.
Oh, that's it. So Burnout is going great guns. Do we have any updates for Burnout this week, next Grand Prix?
Coming up shortly. Not really. It's been 3 weeks between races, so you will have something next week.
Sensational. And Hole Out. What about Hole Out? Our new golfing one.
Winner
of the Masters. Yes, winner of the Masters. Can you pronounce his name?
Hiroki Machol. I don't know.
Close enough. He bowed to that close enough, but we've got a new Masters winner. So we've got Hole Out, we've got Burnout, we've got Lace Outs.
MMA show.
Tap Out.
Good one.
Yep.
So,
listen, the question for this week is, and it's my one, this one.
It's your one.
So I want you to go through the archives and have a bit of a think. Who are the sporting lookalikes? So it can be footy, can be any sport you desire. So a couple of weeks ago, we said Jamie Wallis looks like Jamie Stevenson's dad. And that just got me thinking, we've got to do lookalikes. So what do we do? If you've got a photo of somebody and the person that they look like, put it up. We would love to hear about it. Like I said, Lee Mack, who's on the podcast, if you can go back to a photo from the early 80s with his little puffy little blonde hair mullet, looks like a miniature version of Dermot Brereton in his heyday, and he loves that. I've got a photo of that. I might post that one up too. But so who looks like Lou? And even if you've got one person who looks like somebody that is famous, throw them up there. We would love to see them. So that's another episode. By the way, can I just say, Lockie Jones for Port, it's great to see sexy mows and bad mullets running around in the AFL again. He deserves his own stand. He deserves his own tarp.
Oh, he definitely should get something, Peps. I do agree. Hey, Peps.
Yeah, mate.
Just quickly before we go, just remind everyone again about our Sharon discount that we have running.
Sharon discount. Get onto sharon.com.au. Go to the checkout. Pick yourself up a footies, and put in the code LACEOUT for 30% off your entire purchase. Because
So,
that's how
Peps,
you want your purchases, my friend.
It's basically 2 for 1 almost.
It's almost. You could
Bloody
buy us
amazing.
one. Dave, if you want to buy us one, we'd love to get you Sharon
Yeah.
from you, you know. And in the next couple of weeks, we hopefully will have something to show you which might get you a little bit, I want one of those. But we'll keep
And
that under our chin.
Peps, final thing, just to listeners. Chris and I are going to be coming to you, hands in heart, asking for feedback about our show. Stay close to the Facebooks because we'll be coming to you with a survey. We want you to fill in and basically let us know what you want in the show, what you don't want in the show, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. And
Oh,
really,
Jamie.
because
More Peps, less Jamie.
because we are a show for the people, by the people, made something of the people. We want you to tell us if you want a long show, short shows, how you want us to do it.
How many shows?
Yeah, how many shows? We
Or
are really up,
merch? Would you buy merch?
that sort of stuff. We're going to come to you with a survey soon. So if you could fill that in for us, that'll really help guide Lace Out because it is young. We are in the listeners' hands. We have a great community. We do want to build that, but we also want to make sure that we are going to be a show that you are interested in moving forward.
2 for 1. Clearly not an accountant.
That's my wife's
No,
maths. That's my wife's maths.
That's his wife's, and his wife's a teacher too. So good luck to the kids. Hey, J-Dog, what a cracking show.
Yes,
We're done
thank
for the
you.
week. Like I said, leave a review for us on iTunes. Share this out to everybody. Let get everybody you know to be part of this because that's what it's all about. But more importantly, have a great week. We hope your team wins. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night. But last but not least, Jamie Wallis, how do you want your footy?
I like it with a 30% discount, and I like it lace out.
Fantastic. Have a great week, listeners. Jamie, you're a star. Listeners, you're awesome. Have a great week. See you soon.
See you, listeners.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. I'm your host, Chris Pepper, and with Jamie Wallis, we give you your footy how you want it. Peace out.